Is the magnetic field stronger or weaker the closer you are to its source? And what's its source? Come on, 2 rapid fire questions to get your minds in gear. What is your answer? Don't be shy. Nobody is probably standing right next to you. Just shout out the answer. Any answer. All right, I shouted out the answer when my professor gave us this question during one of my classes, and only my dog heard it. And quite frankly, she only hears out of one ear and only pays attention when she considers what I'm saying is to her best interest. It's called selective hearing, something my father had and he used to his best interest most of his life. I mean, he was living with a really strong wife and 3 daughters. I'm sure my brother learned from him to survive in a world of strong women. Who knows? Yeah, and I know, off track already, but such a fun slide. Okay, answers. The biomagnetic field on Earth gets weaker the stronger you away from the source. And what's the source? The equator. Color me red. I could keep silent on this divergent thinking, but I thought it was the 2 poles of Earth that was the source of the magnetic field. You tell me whether I need to keep silent about these little bumps in the road in knowledge or not. This is exactly why we take courses. We need to pay someone to teach us these things and remember some of the truths of our world. And are you very afraid now that I taught 6 years in primary school? I mean, a lot longer in high school, but we never got into this sort of thing. But I have to say, some parents in New Mexico need to be very scared retroactively. Why is this so important in this journey into biomagnetic healing? 2 very important reasons. First of all, in biomagnetics, it's key to be aware of where the source is of your magnets, the equator, because the closer you are, the less time you need to treat a patient, which is not as important as knowing that the further away from the equator you are, the longer you need to spend with each of your patients. Just think if a practitioner didn't know that. I mean, I'm in Mexico now, only 15 miles from the equator. I looked that up, be assured. And my patients need at least 30 minutes. At least, I mean, they can leave the magnets on all day, but at least 30 minutes. But on the other hand, my classmates who live in much northern latitudes, it's essential to note that their sessions need to be at least 45 minutes or their future patients aren't receiving as many benefits from all these beautiful protocols as they could be getting. That's really big. I mean, it's so important that yesterday's class, we spent a good amount of time just looking at the map and looking at which countries really are right on the equator. But what's even more important are the countries we really don't consciously think about as being substantially further away from the equator. And in our practices, that is very relevant. So the United States and Canada, Europe, Scandinavia, China, they're farther away from the equator. And practitioners in those countries need to spend at least 45 minutes per session with the protocols, if not more. But then there are other geographic differences we may not really think about. So for instance, New Zealand is substantially further south from the equator than Australia, for instance. And if we're practicing down there, our patients need more time to get the full benefit of these incredible magnets. Now that's a pretty cool combination of geography and health, right? What's even more fascinating and relevant, and this is why I like learning from Dr. Goyth so much, he is adamant that we are not treating diseases in our sessions, we are treating people. And part of what makes up a person is the very geography of where we're from, because that influences our disposition in general. In other words, if we're from a country near the equator, we're probably more relaxed, we're calmer, we have a more tranquil way of dealing with life's daily challenges. And that is directly related to the less intense pull on our body of the equator. So for practitioners, that is absolutely relevant to our patients' dispositions in their acceptance, in their receptivity of the magnets that we're using during the sessions. I mean, it's collaboration, right? It's not just them, it's not just us. It is a collaboration between us and the magnets and the patient. On the other hand, and our professor shares this with us from very personal experience because he's traveled all over the world for most of his life, meeting people who want a biomagnetic healing. And he explains this in a very non-judgmental way, in a very matter-of-fact manner, that the further away from the equator you live, you're probably tenser in general. You live by more rules, and you make sure that you and people around you follow those rules. You're probably a little more judgmental. You have a greater challenge in accepting new ideas, new possibilities. Even though you went to a biomagnetic healer, you're not really sure that you need to participate. Anyway, it's very general, but he says it's really true. So it's important for us to know, because we need to know ahead of time that certain patients we're going to have, we need to be more compassionate. We're going to need to be more patient. We need to accept that they're going to have different processing needs during the treatment. So that's what's been highlighted this week in my incredible journey into biomagnetic healing. Week 5, how geography actually affects not only our practices, but the people we are practicing on. And yeah, I'm falling more in love with this every week. And I've been working on gut health and weight control protocols that I mentioned last time. I'm trying them on myself for the past 2 weeks, every morning and every night. And I'm really seeing a difference in my body. I feel like I'm waking up with more peace every morning. I have a different attitude towards food all day. That is huge. I am so looking forward to sharing these practices with you very soon. And you? What have you been doing to move into your big pivot this week? I can't wait to hear. So let me know, and see you soon next week for more.